How's it going, everybody? Josh from Happy Little Landscapes here again. We're going to do a lot of colors today versus our only 4 colors in our other painting. I've already primed the canvas with Bob's Liquid White. Get a little hair off there, and we'll get ready to go. So, I have no idea what we're going to paint. See what we do. Take the littlest bit of this Indian yellow. Just a little. Flavor it inside here. Just like that, right into some bright red. Very bright. Very bright. We're going to kind of mix these two together and make a little orange. Leave a little light spot there though. Go right into the alizarin crimson here, just a little bit. Stuff is very powerful. But now what I want to do is just a little bit of the phthalo blue. Start up in our corners, across the top here. Even take a little bit of the black. Take our black. Nice little flavor there. Alright. Gonna get our 2-inch brush now and really go at this thing and blend all these colors together. Go side to side, take out all of our brush strokes, and you'll notice that I'm pushing relatively hard on the canvas, but if the color is blended enough, it's not going to transfer across. If it starts to move and you start getting blue or black everywhere, you know your color's too thick and you need to blend it. Use less paint and blend it a little bit more. So as we all know, it gets darker, it gets lighter in value as we get down to our horizon in a sunset. All of our sky starts to turn dark and you get the littlest bit of color until there's almost nothing left. And now that our horizon line is down here, I think we have a good bit of, you don't want to have too much to cover. So I think we have a good horizon there, and we'll start to throw in our mountains. Alright, so what we'll do is we'll mix up some color here for our mountains. I've got dark sienna, I'm going to use midnight black, the Prussian blue, and if you throw in yellow it gives it a real cool effect. So we're going to make our little mountain pile over here, a little bit of brown, a lot of bit of black, a little bit of red. And then once we get this mixed up, now we don't want to start out in the distance real dark. So we get a bit of white, kind of mix that up, shows us our color. It's a nice color there, but if you take a little bit of yellow and throw it in there, you get this sandy brown. Look at that. Beautiful color. So we'll take our sandy brown, wipe off our knife, and in my mind we'll do a kind of a butte style rock formation here. So why don't we put him right here? We're just going to give him a flat top, pull straight down, and then we'll start to kind of level him out. And you just push it in. You can push it in relatively hard because we're going to take it and move it with our canvas, with our brush. And you can scrape off all the excess. Don't worry about the shape of it. It's real far in the distance, so what we'll do is when we blend it out, you're not going to notice this, but you don't want a whole lot of paint on there. So kind of push it in and then scrape off whatever comes off, and you can leave it just like that. What we'll do is we'll come in with our 1-inch brush. Make it at the base. I don't want to really mess with the top here too much, and just kind of bounce it out and let it flow out to your horizon, making it as straight as you can towards the edge, right? Take the next one, just back and forth, and you can see all these cool bits where you'll have darker color and lighter color, and it does that on its own. So don't go too fast and go ruining it before you even see what you have. Okay, so we can kind of lighten that out. Stretch it. You can literally, by the pressure, push and drag it however you want. So what I like to do a lot of the times is grab the same bit of that color, and you can make these layers of rock that stick up out of the you know, away from the mountain. Make them different sizes, different thickness. Because like I said, they're way off in the distance and you're not going to be able to really tell when you look at them. You just take the base of that, pull it right out, and then we have this cool little bit to our mountain that was very easy to do. And people will wonder how you got it back there with your brush. And just don't tell them it's our little secret with the knife here. Take a little bit more of that color and just extend it. Picked up a little bit of brown, a little bit of our mixture here, which is fine. Doesn't have to all be the same color. You want to have shadows, and you want your horizon to be straight. And you can just blend. I don't know if you can see it on the camera. Just a very light brown and yellow kind of color. It kind of goes in this pattern right here. So what we can do is bring in another bit of land or another bit of land on this side, as far out as we want actually. So what we'll do, how about we make another one of these guys, but before that, I'm going to take just a little bit of our color, littlest bit, and very lightly just pull down, and that's going to give us a bunch of cool shadows and a look that it's hard to create on with a brush. So we'll flip up in the shape of our mountain. Don't worry about if you get, you know, bits down here. It doesn't really matter. We're just worried about the mountain. Down. You get this cool look. Then you can always blend this back out. Very lightly, just kind of fluff. Gives it this blurry appearance in the background. It's real far away. So now what we'll do, we're going to do another mountain just like this one, just a little bit bigger and a little bit darker. Can't have them be the same tone. So even though that's just the slightest bit darker, it's going to stand out and make it look closer to us. So we want to do it a bit higher. And why don't we put another one right here? Make this one like this. Maybe he's got a little buddy that lives off to the side. Like that. And then we'll let him do his own thing with the brush. Come down, put a little bit more. Whatever shape you want it to be. And then we can literally just blot in some different color, some black, and some of that mixture that's darker will be our shadows down here at the bottom. Just push it in there. And then what we'll do, we'll see, take our brush, still haven't washed it, nice and dirty from doing this one, same color. So just with the front corner of the brush, make our little hill shape, and then straight out. And pull down this way, go side to side, make your little X patterns. And let this one kind of fall off of the canvas here. And just by adding that little bit of dark in there with our knife, now we've turned it into this really cool shadow. Kind of like a happy little accident right there. So, don't want this thing to be perfect, so why don't we use our knife and we'll change the shape of it just by adding some paint. We can go over here. Don't want it to have real sharp edges except for that side. Just make sure your lines touch. There's nothing really hanging off. Who knows, this one could go straight out if you want. But don't overblend these areas. These are real nice. And people just have a hard time figuring out how you did it. And we're taking these two different colors now, we're mixing them together. It's making a different plane. Nice and straight so we can tell there's something in the distance back there. Mountain, make him go to the edge. Like and just like that, we've got a bit of a desert here. And this guy down. A little bit more of that brown. Throw it in like that, get some of the yellow. And get these cool little shadows that will come up. And like I said, don't overmix it. You just want to have these cool things. Leave these little things. Leave these little imperfections that show maybe there's another hump right here. I mean, don't blend it out so much that you kind of take away what we've been doing. Maybe there's one back there. Just a bit of different color. This provides a shadow. And then you can decide in your mind what is going on. If there's a hill there or something. Take our darker bit of our color here, because now we're getting close to us. We want it to get darker. You can see it's a little bit darker now than it was before. And just like that, we've got our desert sands painted out. Nice and easy. Get some white in with our thing, throw some of our yellow back in there. Some of our dark, maybe some brown. Right, don't mix it too much, leave it marbled. Get our little thing here, and we'll just drop in our shadows and give our mountain some texture here. There we go. Like I said, if you overdo it, it's going to mix too much, and then we're just going to end up with a darker color. So we'll flip up at the bottom just very lightly. Leave some of this. It kind of creates this foggy mist that we're looking for. Now our mountain's got some shadows. It's got some light on it. And if our light source is back here, you figure this would leave a shadow down here. So why don't we take some of our darkest bit, maybe a little bit of that, and we'll kind of do a shadow in the same little shape. And just mix it in here. Just like that. Now we've got a bit of a shadow, not too dark, but it's there. Got this nice kind of grayish, shadowy color. Just a little bit into there. On all sides of our brush, and then we'll go up here and make a cactus image. So let's see if I can stay out of your guys' way and paint us a little cactus back here. So remember, you want to start off very small, maybe even turn the brush sideways. Not too tall in the distance, but just something back there. Push in a little bit of bush. Doesn't really matter what the shape looks like. There's always a bush at the bottom of a cactus, especially a tall one like ours. Okay, you can add a second arm to it if you want. Use a much smaller brush. Much smaller brush here. Do about halfway, turn it. Like a backwards 4 back there, right? So, all right, we don't want to mess around too much. We'll take our Bob Ross brush here, number 6, the bristle brush, and just kind of, only because it's small and we don't want to touch this other area, just kind of push in to blend it, give it some, every time you're doing that, you're blending it with what's underneath, and then just pull it out. We got ourselves a little far off cactus, a little bit of brush. And if you want to get more crazy, you can go back with your dark and add light to those bushes back there, just by putting in some dark shadowy bits. Not too much, you don't want to overdo it. Definitely don't want to overdo it, especially since we don't know what the heck we're doing today. Just like that, and we've got ourselves a good looking cactus. So, I want to decide what we want to fill up. Right? We know we've got something here, this bit of land, maybe it comes back in here. We can almost see this little path like this. And so if we keep on that line, then it should look good. We'll use the same brush. We'll come back in here and just away and down from our little guy, we're going to pop in another little bit of bush. Make it messy. Don't worry about it. Take our bigger brush, kind of flatten it a little bit, blends it out. And we can see that it's a little bit down from our other cactus back there. We're just going to make it look a little bit closer. I'm going to take our liner brush, a little bit of paint thinner, just in the corner here. Just need the teeniest amount. Don't have it be too wet. You don't want it to be too wet. Not wet enough to slide over what we have. So like this. If it starts dragging too much, you just need some more paint thinner. And we'll just make a little bush. Just out there, all on his own. Maybe a little friend over here. Just very lightly, and don't overdo it. Take that again, flip those little bits out. Shoot, we can even put in like a little bit of orange, could be like a far off flower back there, right? That's all you need. Something to draw the eye of the people. Blot in the other little bit of orange, and that'll be our color that we can pull out. Kind of give us a different look right there. So, since this is a little bit closer, we'll take our big brush still. And this is just our base color for our cactuses, for our far off cactuses. We're still going to use it. And almost like a primer, we're going to lay down our shape in this dark color, and then we're going to come back in and highlight it. So I'm going to go like this, just push, make it pretty straight, and don't kill all of our flowers down there. And we could do another one. What I like to do is turn the brush on the side so you have a sharper point, because our arms are always smaller than the big bit of the cactus. There we go. And all we're looking for is like just a cactus shape. Like that. Yours doesn't have to be straight. It doesn't have to even look like that. But that's what mine looks like. And I found a cool way to sort of highlight them is you can take a liner brush, kind of mix in our oranges and yellows, and then come up here, straight down. Don't really want to touch it a lot. Don't want to push too hard. But we want to be able to see that there's little ridges in the paint. And that'll give us the effect of those spiny ridges in our cactus. Kind of turn the brush. Like I said, this one's kind of far off. Don't need to see much. You just need to see that there's a little bit of difference in color there. Take our even smaller brush and kind of glob up the paint. And just very lightly drag it down. And whatever sticks, sticks. Whatever doesn't, doesn't. And don't overmix it. If you want to put a little flower on your cactus, which I like to do sometimes, the best way I found to do it is have a dark little stem. See, I got a little teeny stem coming out. And then we'll put our flower on the end. What I do with that is a lot of the times I'll use white, just pure white, kind of make a flowery shape. Not too big, of course. Remember, we're in the distance. I just gotta tell myself, don't do it too big. And then I'll go back in with some yellow or some red and have it, just have it work it until you like it. Like I said, this is not a lot of, you're not really gonna see much back there, so you don't need a lot of detail. Alright, since our shadow is going this way, that shadow would be going sort of that way, so we'll take the smallest bit and just kind of pull out. Don't want a lot. Got a guy over here, so we got our arm. And it doesn't even matter because it's not a lot of paint. Shadow doesn't have to be too thick. Okay, if you don't like it that thick, you can always work it out until you like the way that it looks. Say, I don't like my fire, they're not bright enough back here. Alright, get a little bit of liquid white. Grab our orange with our liquid white. Pop it in. Do a little bit of brightness, and the difference in color will draw people's eye. Use our shadowy bushy color. And then you see the closer that I'm coming to us, the more I'm getting into that non-diluted bit, the dark that we mixed up. First we mixed the dark, then we added the white to make it kind of in the distance, and the closer we get, the more into the dark we have to go. So dab up a little bit of paint just right on the end, lower than this guy, but you don't want to come up, and you're going to kind of keep in mind, you don't want to come up and cover over the thing we just, otherwise we're wasting our time. So how about we go below him The top of our bush is going to start up here. And you can see just globbing it on, you get all these cool little gaps and light areas where the light is coming through, dark areas. Don't kill it all. Sticky bush that comes out of here, right? Just like that. And all I'm doing is with the paint thinner, kind of wetting a bit of my paint just to make it thin so it doesn't, the brush doesn't drag across the drier paint, right? The thicker, drier paint. Remember, your little stick can look however you want it to look. But in my mind, my little stick looks like this guy. Who knows, maybe he's even got a little piece off the other side. And just, it's so, you have to be so light to just touch and flick. You know what I mean? You don't want to have too much pressure, otherwise your branches are going to be real big. And a lot of times that's not what you want. There we go. Lots of little sticks and twigs growing out of there. And the reason I've made it sort of a bowl or an arc here is because we can take and grab up in here and pull it out, and grab down here and pull it out, and it's going to look like two different layers. So we'll grab here, pull out our thing, come down here, and you see we've already brought it down just a littlest bit. Come up here and pull down, and leave that little bit of light coming through right there. Does not have to look the same. Doesn't have to be symmetrical or anything. So now it looks like we've got a bigger arc with now our shadowy bits here. And you can do them as much as you want, as long as you want. You can bring them down this way. So, in order to highlight this, we need to clean off our brush. And we'll put a big chunk of our pure liquid white right there. And what this is going to do is allow whatever color we mix with to stick onto that thick bit. When you do that, you want to do it very lightly. You don't want to smush it in because you're going to ruin your shape that you created here. So why don't we do a bit of the the cadmium yellow, very bright yellow. Mix it with a bit of that yellow, the liquid white there. And then we're just going to barely touch. And the bits that stick will stick, and the other bits won't. Don't do your whole bush with the same color. Wipe that off. Didn't clean it off very well. Maybe get a bit of that, and maybe a bit of Indian yellow and yellow ochre, mix those together. Just changes the flavor a little bit, right? Dab it in. Now we got maybe a bit of bush that was growing a little bit better, got a little bit more water, and this guy's kind of dying off. The difference in color is what people are going to like. You don't want to have the same bush up there, or every bush looking the same, or the same shape or color. You want to give someone something different. So now, even though we used almost the same two colors here, they look completely different because we lighten this up. It's further in the distance. We can even take a bit of shadow to make our shape there. And just kind of fluff it. That's all you need. Don't need to do much. Take a bit more of this just because I don't like the way it looks. I want to change. There we go. Now I've got a bit of land that's coming out, and a bit of land over here. So now I've almost got a ravine or a little valley in between there. All right. Some of the times what I like to do, just to make it real dark and mysterious, is at the bottom of these, just put in our dark color, just in shapes like that. And then we'll kind of fluff it up. It'll look like there's some depth underneath our bush. Shoot, you can even take with the paint thinner and draw in just a little sticky guy coming out of here. See what I mean? You don't want to push too thin, too hard. You're going to get real big, and then you have to make it smaller the more you go out. And that has a lot to do with how much paint thinner is on your brush and how hard you're pushing on the canvas. Okay, this guy, we're going to have him have a little bit of swipe that way. Looks good to me. Nice thick broken tree branch back there. This one's a little bit closer, and then we're going to have maybe another cactus over here. So what I want to do for that is grab grab our brush again. Now we're going even deeper. So we went back here, over here, now here. Now we're going even darker into our dark color because we're getting closer and closer and closer, so everything's going to get darker to us. So we can pop in another little guy. Don't worry if they don't connect. You want little bits of space in between. I'm going to make this one like this kind of shape, and I'll show you something cool. Like that. Make sure it's dark at the bottom. Okay. And we've got this multi-layered bush here. Right? We want to come in. We don't want to kill all the light spots. See the light spots we see? We don't want to kill all that. And don't worry about the bottom here, because we're going to grab it and move it however we want. And you just mix it until you're happy with how it looks. If you want a little bit more, put a little bit more in wherever you want, and just mix it up. You can tell that now the sun is really going down, and the sand is getting darker down here. I like to have as dark in the corners of the painting, and that will draw your eye. We're not done down here yet, but that'll draw your eye to the center. So we kind of mix it up, long strokes, back and forth. And that way you're bringing this color here and that color there. Say, shoot, let's put in some yellow. Why not? You can put in yellow if we want. And you just work it in until you like the way it looks. Doesn't have to look like mine. It's just gotta look like yours. And you gotta like it. So what we'll do now is we'll take our longer liner brush, get a little bit more paint thinner back into our bush cactus base layer mixture, and we'll go pop in a little bit of that. Pop in some little sticks. And decide if you want cross those over. If you want a cactus in your front bush here, if you don't, you got to paint the little twigs differently. There we go. So we got that hanging off there. Shoot a little guy up here. Cactus base layer mixture, and we'll go pop in a little bit of that. Pop in some little sticks. Decide if you want cross those over. If you want a cactus in your front bush here, if you don't, you got to paint the little twigs differently. There we go. So we got that hanging off there. Shoot a little guy up here. And now we have room for our cactus. So, once again, nice and dark. Now this cactus obviously can't be the same size because we're much closer to us, correct? So, it's gonna have to be a little bit thicker. And it's okay to have little humps. It doesn't have to be a straight line down. Sometimes it looks better when you add those little things. It makes it look like it maybe got some more water that year, or grew a little bit thicker due to something. See, so now what we're doing is we're doing almost double our shape. Again, you make the same little humps on the other side. Doesn't, you don't want it to be real pointy, but it does need to get thicker as it goes down, and thinner towards the top. So now that we've got that shape in, we can make a little arm for him. Obviously you don't want to do the same type of thing, so maybe we'll put an arm up here. It goes above him. And if we cover back over that, that'll put that arm behind the cactus back there. It's thicker as we come down, and then once again we go over it and put it back. Take our other one here, a little bit thicker. Like that. this guy on the front and kind of round it a little bit, and that will make him look like he's on the front side of the cactus and that guy's on the back. Put in the little bumps and stuff. Don't want it to be a perfect shape. We're going to come back in and highlight it anyway, so it doesn't really much matter what it looks like now. Put those down there, and I'd say that's good. We'll take a little bit of our yellow straight on here, pull it in, just give him a little bit of color. Now when we go back in to highlight him with our yellows and oranges and reds, and we can come back in with our brush, hold out, try to stay straight. If you push and roll like this, you get these cool little lines, and they look like where our bristles and stuff are poking off on our cactuses. So give a little space, push, and continually twist. And try not to let those two touch each other. The more you do it, the harder, the further down you go, the harder you gotta push to make those little things there. So we'll try to mix up a different bit here, put them on this guy, and just kind of try to leave that roll in there. And people will have a hard time figuring out how you did it. Kind of round that guy off. We'll go one more round on this one here. Try not to touch, but leave enough paint. Pull up, start again. Leave enough paint to look like a bridge there. Put a bit of line on the edge. Don't worry if you go on the outside, not a big deal. If it's only a little bit. Cut in there, make our little thing. That's a pretty good looking cactus, I'd say. Now, what I want to do is highlight our bushes. So we'll clean off our cactus brush we were using for our bushes and everything. We're going to get some more of the liquid white right back onto the palette. Maybe get some red this time. Get some red, a little bit of orange. Just mix them up on the brush down here to look real neat. And you'll get two different colors when you pop them on. Don't cover all your shadowy bits. Give them a little bit of red, kind of change the flavor a little bit. And don't cover all the way down to the bottom either. There we go, a little bit of red. Have her come in front. So now we got orange, we got red. Let's do some bright yellow with the red. And each one of these changes in color. People are like, oh, that's not all the same flower there. So you want to change it. You want to show them something and then make them look. And they'll see the details that you want them to see closely. Try a little brush off. And, you know, what we'll do is put another little sticky bush down in here. Leave some room for the signature. And I think we'll have a completed painting. Nice little quick one today. So while we're doing that, we'll go back, we'll get the darkest bit left that we have. We can even put some straight up black in there and just mush it into our brush. I want to have these cool little pops there, and then we'll come in and make our little bushy. Back, get some more paint, come in here. I really want it to be dark down the bottom. might even have two different bits of bush. We got two bushes in one now. Don't do it across the whole painting though, you'll hate yourself for it. So now we come back in. We haven't washed this brush, so it still has all of our different desert colors on every time we pulled one of these out. Take this over here. And you see now we've kind of created this little thing. Take that, pull it out sideways. And we got some bushes, two different ones. So what we'll do now that we know there's two different ones there, we'll color them differently, right? Maybe we'll put some green on. We haven't even used the dang green. Alright. So I'll get some more of our liquid white. Right down there. I like this cadmium yellow with the white on this purple background. It looks really neat. Do one at a time. Don't do all the bushes the same. Don't get too nuts with it because it's hard to come back over and redo it after you've used your lightest bit of paint there. You don't want to have to scrape it off and start over. So put a little bit down there, maybe a little bit. So we got our one bush here, and all that is cadmium yellow and then the Indian yellow, a little bit of red. You just kind of bounce all over the place down here. So what we want now is a darker color. Maybe I'll put some green there. Kind of break that up. So we'll get our liquid white, the slightest bit of green. Alright, we'll do that. Come in here, pop this on. Just a little bit, and that breaks up our color, right? Now we get rid of this green. Bring it back for a surprise at the end. Alright. Got our green, now we're going to switch back to our yellows. So we've got my liquid white. Go back into this yellow here. Tiniest little dash of red in it. And then we'll pop these in front of our green. And that's going to give us another plane there that we can play with. A little bit of the orange. Each one of these colors is slightly different. And that'll give somebody, people something to look at. Okay, we'll wash that off. That, need our liner brush. Need some thinner. Make our little mess down here. Want to have it relatively runny, and that way we'll be able to very gently pop in some of these little small bushes. And pick up some of that color when you go. It gives it a really cool look. You got this almost a green kind of hue to that branch. Looks really neat. Make sure they connect up here. Got a couple little straight little guys poking out. And a little bit of grass right there. Looks pretty good to me. So that, get rid of that stuff. Let me get a big bunch of liquid white here. Just a large amount of it, and I'm gonna every so often just make little piles of it. I don't want to overdo it, but I do want to have another flower on this guy at least. So I need to make that. What do we do? Get a black here. Got our stem. Come in with our white again. Just gonna make our flowery shape. Come back here with our red, and we can just kind of dab in some of the red, pull it out all over the place, maybe some of that pure white, and boom, we've got ourselves another little flower. So, clean off our brushes here, and now I'd say we could sign this little sucker. So for that, I use the liquid, the paint thinner again. Get into my little black mixture or brown mixture or different color, whatever color you want to use. And then come in and sign the painting. Okay, now for my family, I was saying on the last video, you know, signing a painting these days, you can't just do your initials anymore. You gotta have something cool, right? Everybody's got a cool kind of thing to their signature. So my cool signature is, you've probably seen it a lot, those little V-shaped birds that are way off in the distance, but they mean a lot to me and my family. And when I paint mine, I put a little piece of myself in every painting. So we're going to do our three: myself, my wife, and my daughter, and then it's going to be completely done. So again, once you're finished with your painting and you get really nerve-wracking about signing it or going in and making one last detail, I've gone up many times before and been shaken like a leaf to try to put something on in the background. And what I found that really helps with that is plain old yardstick you can get from anywhere. Put it down, decide where we want our little signature birds to be, for me anyway, and then you can literally rest almost your whole hand weight. You can push it and it won't bend. Obviously the bigger easel you go, the more likely it's going to want to bend inward. So, and if you ever start to get it bent, bend it back out. But just very lightly is all you have to use. So what I'll do is I'll put my little family right over here, way off in the distance. Just a little bird, another little bird, and then our daughter. All your birds the same size. It wouldn't look realistic. Not all the same flapping motion either. You gotta do some deep V's, some more spread out V's. But besides that, the only thing left to do is add our little spikes to our cactus. So for this, you need a lot of paint thinner. You really want it to be wet, because trying to do it with a dry bit of brush, you're gonna have humongous cactus spines, which aren't gonna look realistic. So roll it around our paint thinner, roll it out to a tip, and then come in here and just ever so lightly add our things. They don't have to be the same. They don't have to be, you know, together. You can have gaps, you can have anything you want. And just literally grab it and just very lightly pull it out. And remember, you want a lot of paint thinner, otherwise you're gonna have really thick cactus spines and it's not gonna look right. Another cool thing, you can grab some of the paint from our thing and pull it out. It's going to look like two different rows of spines. Which is going to look neat. Go on the other side. Remember, you don't want to have too much. You want to have paint thinner all the way through your brush, otherwise it'll start getting real big and then it's hard to come back in. And you don't want to, you want to just barely touch the canvas. People aren't going to be looking at every single spine. You got to remember that. So they don't all have to be perfect. Not everyone has to be showing. They can be different size, different lengths. They could go down, they could go sideways, they could go up. All people are going to want to see is that they're there. Otherwise, what kind of a cactus is it? It doesn't have spines. Make sure we got enough paint thinner. And it helps if you grab inside the cactus and pull it out. And that helps kind of drop all the thick paint, and then you're just very lightly dragging it out. What I'll do now is just the tip tops of the cactus arms. Right, like that. A lot of the times it's easy if you hold it like this too. Got that one. There we go. And just make a little flower shape with our petals. Right, just like that. Now, that's a good looking cactus in my book. Alright, wipe off our brushes, got it signed, got our signature, got our spines on our cactus. This guy you really don't need spines on. He's so far in the distance, it's really not going to make a difference because he's so far in the distance. Like I said, thanks for watching, everybody. Tomorrow night, Friday night, November 1st, I'm going to be doing a live paint session at Ashiana North Indian Cuisine right here in Henderson. come out and check me out. Great food, great times, and you'll get to see how I kind of put these things together. So if that's something that interests you, come out and see me, and who knows, maybe I can work in a free something with your order. So besides that, once again, thank you guys for watching, and try this painting. It's very easy. We used, you know, a few colors. I didn't even use some of the ones that I had pulled out to use today, but give it a try. Not too hard. Send me a photo of what you come up with, and until then, we'll see you guys on the next one.